I shook her down. Away,
Hi Brenda, I'm Yvonne Laval and I'm a volunteer at the Watch House, and Emma Solomon is going to take this video so we can record the history that you remember about your time in Cullercoats. I believe you've got lots of lovely memories, and so we want to be able to capture that. So what was your name's Brenday Kinghorn now, so what was your maiden name?
And maiden name was Moberly.
Right.
An unusual name.
It is an unusual name. Where does that come from?
The family came from the Midlands to start with, but beyond that, there are lots of Mobleys around here now because my brother had 4 sons who now have sons of their own and grandchildren.
Wow.
And nearly all boys. The first girl since me was born about 2 weeks before my 90th birthday.
What's your birth date?
September 1933.
1933.
And I had my 90th birthday party at the Watch House.
Of course you did.
Yeah.
Everybody was talking about that. It was supposed to be a fabulous time.
It was lovely, yes. It was a lovely venue.
Good.
Yes.
Lovely,
Yes.
that's
and
great.
Just the right size.
Good, it is. It's a good size.
Yes.
Nice and intimate, not too big.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes, but plenty of room for people to move.
So when did you actually come to live in Cullercoats, Brenda? What's your recollection of that?
We moved into our new house in Seacrest Avenue in about during August 1939.
Right.
And we hadn't been there long. My mother put the curtains up, but she also put blackout blinds up at the same time, which everybody had to do. So we were there when the war started. And I can remember sitting on the stairs in the house, and they had the radio on, and they were very solemn and very quiet and very concentrating on what they were listening to, and feeling, ooh, funny. But I didn't know why at that point. So I started school here.
What school was that?
At Cullercoats Infant School in John Street.
Oh, right.
I had been to school for 1 year in Darlington prior to that. And I used to toddle down every day and made lots of friends that I kept for quite a long time.
Good.
Yes, we had what was she called? Mrs. Huntley, Miss Jackson was my teacher. She later became the headmistress, and she was called Mrs. Huntley by the time my children went.
Oh, wow.
Yes, she was there for a long time, yes. It was a nice little school, yes.
So what do you remember about your school days?
I can remember being taught to knit by Mrs. Huntley,
Right.
Miss Jackson. And I can't remember a lot about the infant school, but when we moved into the junior school, I've got quite vivid pictures. I can see the classrooms,
Wow.
and see the people I was sat next to, and see quite a lot of things, because we had air raid shelters in the school playground. They weren't underground, they were just shelters above ground.
How old were you then, Brenda, when you went to the next school?
Moved into the junior school when we were 8, I think.
Right,
it was.
okay.
Yes, we had 4 years in the infant school, yes, in the junior school.
So what games did you play? Can you remember?
We played with balls quite a lot.
Up against the wall.
Well, yes, and my parents, they used to go mad. They used to hate this noise of this ball pounding.
Bang, bang, bang.
Especially when my friend came along, we were being very competitive. Yes. 2 balls against the wall and handstands against the wall and all sorts of silly things like that.
Did you play skipping ropes and things then?
Ropes,
yeah.
Yes, skipping ropes. Yes, I remember those. Yes, and two ropes where one went one way, one went. I don't think they do that now.
No, that's just what I'm thinking, because I remember doing the two and jumping through both of them.
Yes.
But you don't see that now.
You don't see skipping ropes.
So that was a long time that people did those same games for years and years and years, and then suddenly they seem to have stopped.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
So you mentioned being 6 when you went to school, and you remember hearing about the war on the radio.
Yes.
That must have been quite daunting for a 6-year-old.
Well, it was, but my parents didn't make a big thing of it. They kept quiet about it, most things. Unlike my husband's parents, who put a big map up on the wall with coloured pins, and they were doing...
We followed
war
it
stuff all the time, so he had quite a big knowledge of what was going on.
Yeah.
Yes, my dad was in the Home Guard.
Oh, right,
And he
okay.
used to go along to the field, which is now Kenner's Dean. beside the Park Hotel, there was an open field there.
Oh, yes.
And they had all the guns on, and he used to go along there every time the siren went, which was quite worrying. We had a little area shelter outside, which was half underground and half above ground, and we used to be in that.
Was that in your garden?
It was in the garden. We were on a corner, and it had a garden.
What street was this where you lived?
Seacrest Avenue.
Seacrest
on
Avenue.
The corner with Sandhurst.
Right.
And on that piece of land there, they built an air raid shelter. And it was just out of the kitchen, round the corner, through the side gate, down into the shelter. Yes. And that had bunk beds in it. And my brother and I used to got put in the bed. It was very damp. I remember the walls were always streaming wet.
Yeah, there would be.
And the bedclothes were quite damp. But we used to take a hot water bottle if I had time. And often had our lunch down there.
So how long would you stay down there?
Sometimes we were down most of the night.
Right.
If it was in the daytime and it was a meal time, we used to sit rice pudding down. Often Anne had our puddings. We used to have our pudding down there. And my mother used to sit and knit dolly clothes. She was knitting for my dollies. And so I got to know quite well the wife of the man who actually built the area shelter. He lived in Links Road. And yes, it had a big concrete roof. And since, when I've thought about it, I thought, well, if there was a bomb dropped and we were in this shelter with this big concrete roof, surely that concrete roof would flatten us.
So did all of the houses have air raid shelters?
No, they didn't.
Right.
No. Some of them had to go to friends' houses.
Right.
Some of them improvised with various things. A lot had their own, but certainly not probably about half, I would think.
Right.
It was quite exciting in a way, but before we had the air raid shelter built, we used to hide behind the piano. We pulled it away from the wall about between 2 and 3 feet, I suppose, so there was room for us to get in there, and we used to lie down and go to sleep in there.
Hey, dear me.
My brother was he was 5 years younger than me, so he couldn't remember very well.
Was there just the two of you?
Just the
two of you?
Yeah.
So what after that, what happened? Have you got any other recollections of wartime?
I remember very vividly the day the Methodist Church was bombed, because we used to go there. And we'd been to the pictures in Whitley Bay, to the Empire Cinema, which was at the bottom of the Esplanade. We were walking home, and the bombs were dropped just before we came out of the cinema. And we were walking home wondering what we were going to find. And we came down Margaret Road, where, of course, there's a church on there still. Well, and we looked and thought, oh gosh, that's our church that's gone. And unfortunately, we also did know the lad that was killed there. He was the son of a friend of my dad's. He used to come to the house. And later on, another friend who lived in St George's Road, he was in the bath apparently. His dad had the hardware shop, and he was in the bath, and when the bomb dropped on the paper shop across the road, and I think the chemist next to him. Anyway, the shock of all that just about blew him out of the bath. And it was, yes, there was a lot, just in a little clump in Cullercoats.
A small area.
Yeah, because the planes coming over from Newcastle were supposed to have dropped their bombs on shipyards and things.
Yes.
And they haven't, because they've got a few left. They just dropped them willy-nilly.
Randomly, do you think?
They went out over the sea, yes. And the noise of them, I can still hear the noise. It was horrible. And you know from the drone of the noise whether it was a British one or a German one.
Oh, you could tell the difference.
Yes, I can't remember what the difference was, but it was a sort of throbbing.
Right.
Yes. But great jubilation when the war was over, because there were no houses behind our house, and there was spare land, and all the boys from round about brought all sorts of rubbish and built a great big bonfire and have this.
Is that in celebration?
Oh yes.
So were there street parties and things?
Well, I think there were a lot of street parties. Yes. I just know that ours was there and everybody from round about.
So how old were you when the war ended?
11.
11.
45. Yes, it was the year I was going to 11 coming up to 12, yes, yes.
And you'd be going into the high school.
I was at the high school by then.
Right.
That's right, yes.
So that must have felt like an awful long time to a little girl.
Well, that's right.
Yeah, from 6.
Yes, yeah. But it didn't restrict us playing out. I mean,
No.
we were allowed to go and play out as we wanted to.
Mm.
And we used to play in the street and roller skates. And
Did you go to the beach?
no, the beach was closed off.
Right, was it?
You couldn't go on the beach.
Right.
No. They had these anti-tank things that they have.
Right.
A lot of people, couldn't wait to get on the beach, so it was pretty well where everybody went.
Straight away as soon as it ended.
Except you had to be careful. No, you weren't allowed on it straight away.
Right.
But you would have liked to have gone straight away.
Mm.
Yes. No, we couldn't go on the beach. Fortunately, all the precautions they'd taken along the beaches were not tested.
So do you remember rationing then and
Oh, yes.
ration books and things?
Yes, rationing.
Did that impact on what you ate and as a family?
It did to a point, but my father kept hens. A lot of people kept hens in our back garden. So
My grandmother had
we had
hens.
plenty of eggs. A lot of people had allotments, and some of the fields round about that weren't doing anything were turned into allotment fields.
Right.
And so we walked along the road to Links Avenue, where the football fields are now, and they were all allotments.
Wow.
And my dad grew all kinds of things, potatoes, cabbages, rhubarb. We had rhubarb in so often.
So many ways.
It grew really well on that field. Yes, and do you know rationing was still in force when I went to college in 1951.
Really?
We had ration books to take, and yes.
Wow.
It was just a few things. I can't remember what they were. Meat. I can't remember what was the last to come off. But things came off gradually.
Right. So it took that long to get back to normal then?
It did. Yes, that's right, yes.
Mm.
And we used to have dried egg, which made into edible things, but and dried milk. We had dried bananas, which I used to love. They were lovely.
Wow.
Yes, I used to like them. Can't remember what else, but my mother managed to come up with something different every day.
Good.
Yes, no, it was.
I guess people just do have to adapt, don't they?
Right.
Yeah.
We were well fed.
Yeah.
And we didn't eat all, dare I say it, the rubbish that people eat these days.
Yeah.
And we didn't have sweets and lots of sugar.
Yeah.
So this is why the remains of this generation still here, because we're just so healthy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think so.
Because the diet was good.
Well, the diet was
Yeah.
good. There was nothing bad in it at all.
Yeah.
No. So it might not have had everything in that we needed, but it didn't have anything in that we shouldn't have.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you went to the high school at 11,
Yes.
and when did you leave there?
I left in 1950 when we were about to move from the area, when I was in the sixth form.
Right.
And then I had to go to school in Barnsley for a bit, but yes, I was there. My husband left a little bit before, so we were there from 44 through to 50. And in 1945 the school went on fire,
Oh, wow.
a big fire. So we went through all that, and having classrooms in various buildings around the area, wanted to put right. That was exciting. Yes, so I went to the high school, and a lot of people from Cullercoats, of course, went. I had a friend who was very clever, passed the grading exam, but she couldn't go because her parents couldn't afford to go,
Oh,
which
wow.
was sad, because you paid
In those days, yeah.
at the beginning, yes, for
Yeah.
the first year and a half, I think it was.
Right.
But no, it was a good school.
Mm.
Yes,
So then you said you moved away,
moved away. Yes,
and then you came back again.
and then my husband and I started courting because he was in ships in the docks in London. So we used to meet up down there, or we re-met up down there, shall I say.
Because you met here. You met
We were near
in North
school,
Shields.
yes.
Yeah.
But then we lost touch. But then
Right.
he phoned me up one night and said he was in London. I don't know how he got my number, but he did. And just went on from there. And then we got married in 1956. So it was a case of where are we going to live? Well, might as well live in Cullercoats. So, yes.
Back you come.
Back to yes. And we moved into Links Road. Quite near the St George's Road end. And then I had my 3 children there, and they went to Cullercoats School. And when Michael went to Cullercoats School, he used to walk. I used to see him across the road. He walked round. When he got to one point, he could see the house right away by the bedroom window. That was when he first started. I didn't wave out when he got into the bigger classes, higher classes, but yes.
So what was the community like then? Had it changed from when you were first there?
It felt very different because I was in a different part of Cullercoats. When we'd been in Seacrest Avenue, it was a case of, well, you go to school over the bridge, but don't go over the bridge for anything else.
Right,
Except
okay.
you had to go to the post office and things. But apart from going to shops, I don't know what, I suppose the people in the village at that time seemed to have the attitude that it was the posh people that lived the other side of the bridge.
Right.
And we didn't, I mean, we weren't posh people at all, but probably better off than a lot of them in the village. But I didn't have much to do with the village apart from going to school and being around it. I don't remember going many times into places in the village because my dad, amongst other parts of his job, he had to do the rent collecting, and he had to go to all these places in the village, and he used to say, "You don't want to go down there. No, it's not nice down there. You don't want to go down there." But I had a lot of friends down there, and I had to keep quiet about them a little bit.
So what streets were they then?
The ones particularly the seaward side of Front Street,
right,
where there was all the old little streets and little houses and brown buildings behind the fishermen's cottages and
right,
around that area.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Simpson Street was one of the streets, and a little bit further up Eleanor Street, I had friends in Eleanor Street, and yes, they were just people like us.
Yeah.
It was. I wasn't aware of them being any different.
Any different? You wouldn't have that prejudice, would you, that
age?
age?
Same class at school, you all sat beside each other, and that was fine.
Yeah.
Oh yes, no.
Have you any recollection of fisher folk or fishwives or anything?
I didn't know many fisher people except Polly Duncan, who lived along the same street, of course, who used to come round with a lifeboat box.
That's a name that's come up before,
yes, Polly Duncan was a great favourite of everybody's. And then there's Cathy Blackman, of course, and I was in the same class as her at school.
Right.
And it was lovely to meet up with her again later. I didn't have much to do with the lifeboat in the early years because I was busy with my family. My husband was away. But once we got involved with the lifeboat, it was lovely to meet up with all these people and talk to them and find out, I knew so-and-so. Did you know so-and-so? Yeah, it was lovely.
All knew each other.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So you said your dad was involved in the lifeboat?
No, my dad wasn't involved with the lifeboat, my husband was.
Oh, it was your husband who was involved?
Yes. He used to go down and give talks when he was still at sea, but once he retired, he spent a lot of time down there.
Right.
Getting involved. He was on the committee and used to give talks and used to show school parties round. And some ladies' adult parties as well, but mostly children. And I've got a collection of letters somewhere. I don't know where, but I have a collection of letters that school children have written to him.
Oh, how nice!
So yes, we've got quite a lot of souvenirs and lots of lovely memories of the life.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yes, he was involved with the watch house as well for a little while. He was on the committee. I think he was just a sounding board for various things, but yes. And that's where he met one of his best friends from later years, who came to live in Cliff House, actually.
Oh, right.
And still live there, but he has died now. But he met up with him, and they became good pals, and between them, managed to put a few good words in about things, I think. Yes.
Good.
Came up with a few good ideas.
Excellent.
Yes, so Cullercoats, if anything's on the television that's got Cullercoats in, I've got to watch it.
Yes.
I usually record it, so I can watch it again. Yes.
So it holds a very got good place in your heart then, Cullercoats.
Yes,
It's yeah,
it certainly has, yes.
lots of happy memories.
Ashes was scattered out of the bay
Oh,
when he died 3 years ago.
right.
And yes, his ashes were scattered out of the bay by the lifeboat. So that was very special.
Yes, indeed. And you had your 90th birthday
I did, in the watch house.
at the watch house. When was that again?
Beginning of September. That was the 9th, had it? 9th? Yes, it was the 9th, I think.
So that was a very fitting place for you then.
It was.
Yeah.
Yes, it was a very fitting place, yes. I haven't been back since. I need to go back sometime and have a proper look at everything that was on display. There's so much to see.
There's lots to see.
Interesting stuff.
And all the renovations have started now.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much, Brenda. It's been absolutely lovely speaking to you.
Well, I hope it's of some
hearing
interest.
Absolutely.
Perhaps a little bit different from what somebody else has said.
Yes, certainly was. It certainly was. Thank you very, very much.
Yes.
Heave away, haul away. I shook her all about the town.